We are helpless to resist in your darkest hour. Welcome, everybody. It's the GSC Invitational Week 4, I believe. I completely lost track as I had to do play-ins and then some. So for me, it's just like we've been at this for months now. Anywho, this is actually quite exciting. I got to see this game live a couple of days ago. That's not true. I saw it after it happened. And these are two players that both knocked me out. So Krystil, if I'm not mistaken, they are DPP players and a DPP player who completely threw me off in a game where I was dominating. But yeah, it's all right. It was interesting how they ran Dynamic Punch Nidoking. That's pretty cool. And Corey on Discord, Mr.soup. What is he known for? I'm not really sure before GSC what he was known for. I guess he plays current gen. And I mean, he over time he got interested in lower gens, and then I saw him get invested in OU. And last year he was in the circuit tour. So in play-ins, I managed to send him to losers. Krystil sent me to losers. But by popular vote, Mr.soup got in. And Krystil, I don't know how they got in. Maybe they were invited in. I'm not really sure. So Mr.soup is doing quite well for himself. This, I want to say, I had my notes here somewhere. I want to say it's the upper bracket. Hang on, let me check. Yes, it is, in fact, the upper bracket. So Corey, I faced again in round 1 of the Invitational. So I actually got in, yay, due to my performance. But then I lost against Mr.soup in round 1. So I got sent to losers. And then he sent Kumiko to losers. And here he is now. On the other hand, we got Krystil. Krystil sent, on the tip of my tongue, BD to losers. And then another player. Crap. It was on the tip of my tongue. All right. Anywho, we've waited enough. We'll just start off the game. Sorry. So we got Lax versus Jinx. Jinx could be Thief or not. Cloyster, I know for a fact that Mr.soup does like a lot of different mons. Like, I don't know, for instance, he has a tendency to use a bit of Gengar, or at least that's what my impression was when I faced him. There it is. Switches in. Probably predicting a Toxic, but good sequencing there nonetheless. And we do see a Thief. It was unrevealed. And now took away lefties from one of the most important targets, Zapdos. It's T-Wave Zap, so that's even more valuable, meaning this Lax can 1v1 Krystil Zap. Krystil's on the bottom. Cloyster takes 12 from Spikes and 12 from Toxic, essentially like it's super effective Stealth Rock damage, gets hit by the Lax, slowly but surely getting weakened. Of course, with it being Rapid Spin, that also means that it cannot have Boom due to compatibility reasons. That Zap is going to force out the Cloy, and Mr.soup is going to double to Cloyster, making a very technical but good play. So, yeah. Gets the Spikes, takes a lot of damage in the process from a T-Bolt Blissey. Not something you see very much in GSC. That's more of a Gen 3 move. You just see Thunder or something. But anyways, Ice Beam, freezing the Jinx. Not that it matters too much unless Blissey gets put to sleep. So the Heal Beller gets put to sleep, and Krystil is already down, essentially, 3 mons. One can't be used, one is frozen, the other is poison, Cloyster's eventually going to die, and there's the added threat of a Gengar. So Mr.soup is doing quite well for himself. To make matters even worse, there is a Whirlwind Zapdos on either end, but this one, on Mr.soup's side, seems even scarier. Golem's going to come in, and he could spin, forcing the Cloy to come in, or he could just EQ. He is deciding to spin. Sure, he takes damage, but in the meantime, he's at a bit of an advantage here versus Krystil. But maybe, I don't know, Krystil has the benefit of the namesake, because it's gold, silver, Krystil. Blissey, Whirlwind, and a Rhydon. Okay. Blissey, Rhydon, that's a fat team. I did watch the game, but I don't recall everything. So, Whirlwind Zap is gonna stir up a storm here. Look at that. Look at that form. Blissey suddenly getting closer and closer to range. This is the most terrifying Zapdos has ever been. Holy shit. Really giving Krystil a run for their money right now. Lax gonna rest up. That was a decent rest, but this Zap is, oh wow, doesn't even just prioritize his chip. Gonna get that T-Bolt off. And now Blissey's essentially dead unless it can wake up on this very turn. No, and if Blissey is dead, that means that Zapdos is dead, and that Cloyster can't rest, and that this Snorlax is gonna have to somehow 1v6 everything. Or the Rhydon, I don't know, it's looking really bad right about now. Jinx seriously giving 0 fucks about whether you have a Heal Beller or not. Krystil gonna sack the Blissey at this point, meaning Mr.soup is now free to use Lovely Kiss again. Has Sleep Talk Lax. We already saw all of its moves revealed. It's Sleep Talk EQ. Rhydon should worry about this Zap because it could be HP Water. We have every reason to believe that because Zapdos with Whirlwind typically is HP Water. There was a time way back when where you would run Zapdos with T-Bolt, HP Water, Whirlwind, and Drill Peck. And I believe we saw Chulio use that in a previous game, or I at least did. All right. The Zap goes down. It was essentially already dead. Krystil using what they can to just stay afloat amidst this whirlwind, this monstrosity. What on earth? Krystil will have to take out this Zapdos somehow, and it's not out of the realm of possibility still. But, of course, if the Lax is going to keep on rolling Earthquake, then that's just going to suck. And this Cloyster is dead. And now we are down 3-6. The only progress made from Krystil thus far. This is the most reliable Zapdos I've ever seen. And the luckiest, too. Not that it needs it, because it doesn't even use Thunder. Mr.soup doesn't even have to make a prediction, can just attack what's in front of it. Decides to go for the Whirlwind anyways, racking up that damage. Slowly but surely. Rhydon eventually will die. It's already taken a lot of chip, and all of it is just from spikes. This is not Krystil's game right now. This is not an ideal situation for a Rhydon to pull off a sweep, and certainly not one for a Skarmory to wall a Snorlax. Much less all of those special attackers and 3 explosions that Mr.soup has at his disposal. This Snorlax is less obedient than a 13-year-old whose phone got taken away from it. It's not landing a single double edge. It's more disobedient than Charizard in that one episode where Ash asked it to fight a Pikachu. And no, it's just not happening right now for Krystil. Of course, Zap has to go for a hidden power, I believe. Doesn't want to get chipped, then crit, and suddenly chokes out the game. Mr.soup is staying steady here. Just gonna whirlwind. He's going after, so you can bet your bottom dollar that he's whirlwinding. And look at that. That's more than 60% of damage. I actually want to check this out later and see how much damage was inflicted thanks to whirlwind spikes, because this is the best I've ever seen a Zapdos do. That's in part due to the somewhat passive nature of Krystil's team. I don't really know if this is optimal. I haven't really seen a squad like this. I'm pretty sure that if there were a T-Tar, you'd find just a little more success than what we're seeing right now. Of course, the lovely cliffs on the Blissey also kind of sucks. So this Rhydon is going down, and I expect a forfeit right here. No. Okay. That was so much value. Holy shit. Golem could boom, or could continue the succession of roars just to add insult to injury. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. Gonna follow up with a Cloyster that speed ties Skarm. It's Thief Skarm too. Takes out that, and then the next one is gratis. Completely free boom here. No RBY chances of missing, nothing. Just a straightforward game. When do you ever see that? That's crazy. Crazy frog. All right. Now Crazy Krystil is going to have to pull something insane here, or they will be sent to losers. Just remember that you can like and subscribe. We got an Eggy vs Zapdos lead, something I like a little bit more, I would say. Thief Eggy, which is nice. Not something all too common, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So what we could say about Thief Eggy is that it could be support for a Marowak in the back, or a Machamp, maybe something that wants to more easily get a 2-hit KO. Yeah, I'd say something like a physical attacker that wants to prioritize that damage on the zap. And we got Cloy getting the spikes, putting the Lax on a timer with Toxic. Of course, it could follow up with a boom here. Mr.soup instead is going to continue and use Golem, just as they did in the last one, but this time bringing it in, dodging, probably going to... No, all right, Krystil rests early, which is a good call, I would say. With that +2 there, kind of forces Mr.soup to double back. It's Monolax, so he could have gotten some damage off. He still can with the double edge here. No, that does not seem to be the case. So Thief Eggy plus Sleep Talk Curselax is quite interesting. On the other end, what we could assume that Mr.soup has is, all right, yeah, sure, a double electric. Maybe there's a Hera. Who knows? Fori taking a lot of damage in this process, and unfortunately is not going to be able to spike. So Krystil kind of let the Fori take more damage than it otherwise should. But there is a Nido dissuading Cloyster from getting its own spikes in. So safe option. Nidoking gets a freeze, just like it happened with me, on the same target, I might add. So, froze Zapdos. Of course, it's all just a matter of taking out one extra Nido check, and then Nido becomes a problem. So, Krystil making a very interesting debut. That's the luck they might need right now. So we got Raikou coming in, and now we see a Whirlwind Zap. So a little bit on the frailer side, but Curse Lax, sure. Are we going to see a Reflect? That appears not to be the case, but we do see Gengar, and Gengar has to watch out because this Lax has very high odds of being EQ. Para. Full Para, rather. And I'm going to try again. And there it is. +1 EQ Lax, guaranteed Oko on the Gengar. No need for that second boost, but of course, that seemed all to be part of the plan. This Eggy still looks quite formidable. Gonna put that Golem to sleep. Maybe that wasn't the intended target. Who knows? But the Golem stayed in, which is, well, it's interesting, to say the least. This could actually help pave way with the Snorlax, and this could be a turn to attack, maybe use a Giga Drain, maybe switch to Nidoking, get some momentum off. What will Krystil do? Decides to boom. Interesting play. I think booming on Zapdos would have just guaranteed a victory. Oh wait, never mind. The Zapdos is already frozen. My bad. Then the Nidoking is looking pretty strong right about now. And with this Zapdos in the way and the Hera, that's it's looking pretty tough for Mr.soup. What is Mr.soup's favorite soup? I know he watches my videos, so I hope that he comments, and I will pin the comment. Hera, El Bicho, which means bug in Spanish. The bug. Of course, it's going to need something like a +1 and a crit, and then maybe we can cook. But by the looks of it, Zapdos is probably just going to safely 3-hit KO that Hera with T-Bolt. Thunder at least has the chance of missing. Oh, but of course, Fori can also boom, helping Zapdos ever so slightly. All right. Zapdos going to follow up. That actually made it riskier. But in this situation, even if the Heracross takes out Zapdos, it would have to do it at a range where it's not risking getting revenge KO'd by Snorlax or Nidoking. It's pretty reliable against Nidoking, which is why it typically counters Nidogartar. Anyways, Krystil seems to come out on top on this game, and so they are on the board, and it's even. It's a 1-1 matchup right about now. We are down to the third game. It's only been 20 minutes. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. Be sure to like and subscribe and join the Discord. Consider donating. I know I'm going to be doing that very soon. Snorlax versus Snorlax. Okay. Different lead matchup this time around. Krystil prioritizing setup. Mr.soup going for damage. Maybe it's not a Curse Lax. He's going to go to Golem. All right, Golem phases out the Lax, but takes a lot of damage in the process. Cloy coming in. Krystil doesn't have a spinner, most likely. There's like a very small chance that it has a spinner, but... Oh, me and my big mouth. Okay, never count Krystil out. That was something. Crit Ice Punch from Gengar, putting Zapdos immediately in peril. Of course, you could follow up with a Dynamic Punch if you want to feel a little spicy. Decides to go to Cloyster. Interesting. How will Mr.soup follow up? Double? No. Goes for the Surf. I don't think... Okay, Surf was certainly in range. But maybe, since we see a Jolteon, the objective might not have been to take out, what's it called at all? Take out Zapdos at all. Instead, use Zapdos as an entry point. Also, please don't make fun of me for how I pronounce Zapdos or Zapdos or whatever. I keep getting harassed about that on this video that had no reason continuing to climb on my channel. Keeps getting views after all these years. I don't even understand why. But yeah, Cloyster. Cloyster getting some nice damage there. And honestly, water is such a weird type, defensively speaking, and such a great type offensively in GSC Overused. Golem. Gonna attempt to spin there. Now, Mr.soup's objective is to take out the Lax. So he's not going to boom because Krystil knows this and switches to Zap. Goes to Jolteon, forces out the Cloy. And now could be a turn to Baton Pass, sure. Baton Pass is very good as a pivoting move because you get to act. It's like a false U-turn. You can act after a switch. There is no U-turn in Gen 2. So Baton Pass is as good as you're going to get. And we see Porygon 2. Porygon 2 versus Jolteon. What is this? UUBL? The 2 S-tier Mons in Borderline? Oh man, that's a lot of damage. Jolteon missing the Thunder there. What is Mr.soup going to do? Going to Baton Pass to Gengar. A very, very proficient special attacker. Going to deal some decent shit. 39, but P2 has Thunder. And that is specifically for Gengar. Shoutouts to Zben, who brought Curse Porygon, not even P2, Porygon 1 in GSC UU last year and won the tournament with it. Gengar blanking a lot of damage, gets a T-Bolt para on the P2. P2 being forced to rest here. Recover, sorry. Recover is the best recovery move in the game until it isn't, because then you can't heal off any status. This is one of the reasons why P2 sometimes struggles against electrics and would much rather have Toxic as a status because it can switch out and back in, and it can very well handle poison damage with Recover. But Paras are another story. Last time I checked, Paras climb from... Never mind. Just forget what I said. I was trying to make a pun, but it just didn't really work. I nearly had a heat stroke. Gengar. Look at that smug grin. If it weren't a ghost type, I would double slap it in its face. Just staring at you, knowing that anytime it causes mischief, it's just to its own advantage. Also, just like the best Gen 2 sprite, hands down. And therefore the best sprite in all of Pokemon. Cloy. Gengar getting out of that hairy situation and just wrecking all the havoc to be had. My God. Giving absolutely zero fucks. But at least now it doesn't have the special attack boost because it's switched out. Past. Okay. Golem can come in relatively safely on this P2. Gonna spin. And phase it out. Resists normal and is immune to thunder. Go figure. But a crit is a crit, and so that could always hurt. Golem can deal some damage to the licks. I don't think that's what Soup is going to prioritize here. And instead is going to go to Cloy. Krystil knows this, makes a prediction, goes to Zapdos. Perhaps a Sleep Talk Thunder. Krystil's used Whirlwind Zap in 2 games. This time Sleep Talk, hoping to deal some chip damage to the Lax. No Curse. It's probably Sleep Talk EQ. As I don't really see what other move you could run on this Snorlax. Surf. But yeah, Sleep Talk EQ is probably the best you can get out of it. Because T-Tar, I see T-Tar being a bit of an issue for this team. As there isn't really a good rock resist. Anywho, as I ramble on, P2 goes down. So down goes the double, the second normal type. Cloy gonna spike again. But of course we know that Golem can spin. Maybe one last time. Maybe not. Or maybe Mr.soup got what he needed. Oh dear. Sorry. Steelix. Alright. Steelix booms. And that kind of exposes Krystil a lot more. Let me tell you something. Gengar is already problematic enough. If Jolteon for any reason manages to pass to Zapdos, there's little that Snorlax can do to withstand boosted thunder. And at this point, it really looks like Jolteon is free. But we do have a Marowak against a double electric. Gonna go for that Rock Slide. Mr.soup knows that Marowak is key here. Gonna deal as much damage as possible. And manages to come in on a prediction. Of course, he loses the speed tie. Marowak putting in some work. It's not over, though. Krystil holding pretty well. Sacks the Cloyster that you know was spin and not boom. And now needs to land Thunder, but it doesn't come around. So Mr.soup staying ahead the whole time, doing really well. And Hidden Power is going to seal the deal as our top 16 player from last year, well, top 16 in the circuits, is going to move on to the next round. whereas Krystil will be sent to the losers bracket. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Please take care and consider subscribing. I know now that when you say the word subscribe, the button lights up. That's pretty cool.